We're going to talk a little bit about affordability just for 5 minutes here, because I've been seeing so many news reports that millennials can't buy homes. Young people have to save up for 50 years before they can buy their first home. I was at a few Christmas parties over the Christmas break, and some of the people were talking about their 20-something kids still living at home because they couldn't buy a home. Well, we think that that's a lot of
Mhm.
misinformation. Because if you really look into the numbers, you look into the actual interest rates and down payment amount and income needed to qualify for something like that, the numbers aren't that high. If there's a will, there's a way. If you want to get in, if you're a young person and you want to get into a home or your first rental property, first we're going to do the 5% down owner occupied graph here, and then we'll do an investment property one. If you look at these three columns here that I've highlighted, the blue one, $250,000 purchase price, that's a condo in Calgary. It
Mhm.
could be a one bedroom, one bathroom condo in the Beltline, could be in the suburbs, but your down payment needed for that, putting 5% down, is 12,500.
Yeah.
Very doable.
You know what? There's two-bedroom condos for 250 and below. I mean, Carly, you had a one-bedder that was super cheap in the Beltline recently, right? That was a foreclosure, I believe.
It was.
Yeah. So you know what? People are always saying, well, what do I buy? At the end of the day, getting into real estate, this is what you guys have to understand. Either if you're moving in and putting 5, 10% down, that's even better. You have to do what it takes. I mean, even Tim's kids own multiple properties right now at such a young age, right? When I look at them, it's unbelievable. So, we were with someone last night with Fiona in Ogden. We're doing a basement renovation there with Fiona, and she had bought one property. She bought that Ogden property with one of her
Sons.
sons.
Yeah.
And then she owns a half duplex in Acadia, and the other side came up for sale. And so we were already on her. We're like, Fiona, what about your other son? Like, how old is he? And sure enough, he just turned
Yeah.
18. So I don't know if it's going to work with the other son, but you have to do what it takes. We work with pros like Danielle that will get you across the finishing line. And the whole aim of getting into real estate, people get caught up on the price point or where they're buying. If you guys read our book, Fearless Real Estate, you'll read that I own properties in the worst parts of Calgary at one stage. It doesn't matter because what happens, this magic thing happens in real estate is it goes up over time and the mortgage gets paid down. And then you have this thing in the middle called equity. And then you simply refi that. It's tax-free money and you use that to buy something else. And people just get I don't know. I don't know what people are thinking. They complicate things so much, and it's just about that. And you know what? If you bought something and it took an extra year or an extra 2 years, like you were talking about your Bankview property at one stage, right? That I don't think you loved the Bankview area or something, but I'm like thinking, but at least you bought something and then you use that money and then you went again. So at the end of the day, you just got to do it.
Yeah. So back to the numbers there. Your monthly housing cost on this $250,000 condo would be just under $1,700 a month. And qualifying for it, of course, you have to do the stress test. So the qualifying income amount would be under $60,000. That's probably what, $22 an hour working a
Mhm.
40-hour work week. It's very, very attainable to do that. Now, young people just have to be more disciplined and maybe not go to Starbucks as much and maybe not go to
Uber.
the clubs and take Uber
What
everywhere.
else do they do? Buy
But
stuff online. Oh my
buying
goodness.
that first property is very, very attainable. Townhouse, average price 450 there. The income you need to qualify is $100,000, but the actual income required to pay for it is 86. And then your housing costs. Now this doesn't have the condo fees in there. I just have the heat and the property taxes, which your TDS that your lender will require is $2,800 a month. That's all your costs in other than condo fees. And then when you get down to a $600,000 detached or attached home with no condo fees, the qualifying income that you need is $134,000. Yeah, it won't be someone fresh out of college or out of high school,
Yeah.
but once you've been in the workforce a while, that is very, very attainable. Plus, if you have two people qualifying for that mortgage, each earning $165,000,
Yeah.
guess what? That's your, or sorry, not, you're earning $65,000 a year. That's your income qualifying amount to get that home. So you're sharing a home with somebody.
And Tim,
We,
you made a really good
yeah,
point when we were chatting the other day about friends doing that.
yes.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be, that you're in a relationship or you're married. Lots of friends are doing it. So you're taking 50-50 from each person. If each person is making 80 grand a year, then you're qualifying for that detached. So you
Yeah.
could have an up
Yeah.
and down in that detached property.
Yeah, so no matter what the relationship is, you can always partner up with somebody to get that home. The second slide is investment properties. You need the 20% down to qualify for that. It's a little bit more capital up front, but again, it's not a huge amount if you're sharing it around with two people, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a friend, whether it's parents, whether it's a line of credit, you can get this down payment. On that $250,000 condo, it's 50,000, but the income needed for that is 50 grand a year. So it's very, very attainable. So what these two slides are showing is that, is there an affordability crisis? We don't think so, because the average income in Calgary for a household is somewhere around $90,000. So anybody, if they have the will, they can buy that property. Yes, you got to maintain your credit at a right level and, not have all kinds of outstanding debt. But if you work with a good mortgage broker like Danielle DeMarco, she can guide you in the way that you can get towards this home ownership or owning your first investment property, as long as you set yourself up the right way.